a drill press is that when you're using it, the drill is going to be moving straight up and down. So your hole is going to be perfectly straight up and down if you set up your piece of wood correctly. Also, since it's a bigger machine with more power, we have a bigger motor on here, it's also easier to do larger holes with bigger drill bits. And we can do that safely if we have, again, our piece of wood secured here nicely. The blood bubble on this tool, we've labeled right up here, and we're saying keep our fingers at least 2.5 inches away from the bit here. So that's 2.5 inches. When you're using this, your hand could be this far away from the bit there. Realize if you have a larger bit like that, your hand would again have to be 2.5 inches away. So that might be further away with a larger drill bit. So here we are looking at putting in a drill bit into the drill press here. So we have two different types. Some drill bits will have a hexagon shape on the end of the bit, as we see here. We want to make sure that the chuck here, this part, is going to grab onto the hexagon part of the drill bit, not onto the round part. It holds better when it grabs onto the hexagon part here. This is the drill chuck with the chuck key in the right side. So you can put both of these in here. There's 3 teeth that will be in here, and we can spin it by hand, just like a normal drill that we have the battery powered ones in this class. But also with this drill, since it has more power and it's bigger in every way, we also have to tighten this down using this chuck key, which will be hanging on the green cable that's behind here. So we put it in there and we can twist it like so. It's kind of like a little gear on there. So we'll put the drill bit in. We can kind of get it close by hand, but then we always want to tighten it down real good with the chuck key, righty-tighty, cranking on that real good, and now it's not going to go anywhere. I'm hanging my chuck key out back again, making sure not to leave it in there. If you leave it in there, when you turn the machine on and start spinning, it can fly out and hit you, which is not safe. So always make sure it's out of the way when we're done. And that is how we put in a bit. Sometimes when drilling and you have your drill bit in here, you need to lower the table so that your piece of wood will fit under the drill bit. Like this would not fit right now, even though this is all the way up. So we have to lower the table. This is very important. You'll see these gears here, these teeth that look very much like gears. We need to release this lever in the back first before cranking on this lever. This is a lock, where this is the actual adjusting crank. So we make sure this is loose, just like one turn will be plenty. And then we can crank this down or crank it up. Very important that we loosen this first so that we can not mess up these gears and destroy the machine. Loosen that first. Once you got it where you want it to be, we can twist this righty-tighty, crank it down. Now the table is not going to move. One of the most important parts of using the drill press is securing your piece of wood. If I was drilling this piece of wood and it was not secured, it could start spinning like a helicopter and flying off and hitting somebody, or just generally being dangerous, hitting people. It's going to mess up your project, it's going to mess up people around you, and not be safe. So there's many, many different ways to secure your piece of wood and make sure it's not going to move on you. And we're going to look at a couple. If you're drilling holes in the top of a long board like this, and you want those holes going straight down, this fence that we have built on the back here is going to be a great help to you. Notice it slides here. The whole table slides, which might help you out. So we always want it all the way against the fence so that things can't spin. And then you're going to line things up where you want. And then we'll take a clamp and clamp down the table so this stops sliding around here. And we'll put a clamp over here, tightening it down. Now, since my piece of wood is long enough that my hand can stay outside the blood bubble, Since I can hold this with my hand and it has no possibility of rotating since the back fence is here, once it's all lined up and where I want it to go, I can turn it on. And now, holding it with my left hand outside the blood bubble, I can start drilling. Notice I'm holding it very firmly with this hand. If you don't trust yourself or your piece of wood is too small, you can always come with another clamp and clamp down your piece of wood this way also to the fence so that nothing moves on you. If the fence is ever in the way and you want to remove it because it's too large for your project, you push it all the way back. There's 2 bolts that are going in these 2 tracks here, and to put it back in, if you ever need it, you can line those up and it should slide right back in. The other very nice thing about using a fence like this is that you can drill many holes in the same distance from the back edge very quickly. There's no gaps back there. Drill a hole, move it over, drill a hole, drill it, move it over, drill a hole. It's a little messy with this drill bit that I have here, but we have several holes here that are all the same distance from that back edge. With this twist bit, it's very evident that we need to back out the drill bit every time we go. So as you watch here, I'm holding it with my left hand. You can see that the spiral part, they call those the flutes in the drill bit, will get plugged up sometimes, and we need to allow them to get cleaned out sometimes, so we need to move the drill bit back up once in a while. Here's another way for clamping down your piece of wood here. Just using a clamp directly on the piece of wood that you want to drill. And notice I have an extra piece of wood underneath it, so I'm not messing up this table. The other reason that is underneath it is that the table will often have a large hole where people have messed it up before. If you have a hole there, as your drill bit goes through, it's going to explode out the backside and not look like a good hole. Clamp it down and tighten it down real good. Make sure that it does not move when you are checking this. If it moves at all, tighten it down more or get another clamp on there somewhere. So another option here when we're clamping odd shaped pieces, like this log for example, is to use one of these twist clamps and then clamp down the clamp to the table. Notice I'm doing all my clamping on the left side, so it's out of the way of my controls on the right. Now that it's nice and secure, when I go to drill, I'm going to have one hand here, making sure it doesn't move, being extra secure, turning it on. Coming up once in a while, going down. This is how it should look. It should be pinching down to a single spot. This would be bad. Kind of looks like Pac-Man. Your piece of wood can slide out the end. This would be even worse. No chance of that clamping in very well. When using twist bits, it's always nice to know what size you're using. We can never trust that people are putting them back in the correct place because people are messy. So we have this little plate. To find out what size it is, you simply stick it in the hole and see which one is the right size. This is a Forstner bit. It comes in larger sizes and will cut a rather clean, nice hole, but cut slightly slower typically. This is a hole saw. Every time you use it, you will need to remove a chunk of wood from the center of it that will be stuck in there. It is typically made for drilling larger holes. Some notes have been added to the machine, reminding us to clamp things down, that this is called a fence in the back here. This is reminding us that the drill bit is going to be spinning in this direction. And then finally, Wood can also be held down against this fence to secure it, as we've seen. Then finally, this one's on the table. Always check your wood will not move. Always check that your wood will not move. Very, very important. And as always, when using tools in this class, we are going to have our safety goggles on and our hair tied back and our clothes tied back, as well as all those other safety rules. And to really drive home this point, here is a woman that did not tie back her hair, got her hair stuck in a drill press, and luckily they were able to stitch all the skin back onto the top of her head after it was pulled off.